G'day guys, Cam Wild Touring. Sorry. I was in a bit of a rush tonight. I decided last minute to come camping. It's the start of fire season and I've been absolutely hanging out for the last 6 months to have a campfire. So I wasn't planning to go camping tonight. I was actually home looking after the kids. Tiff got home from work and I've said to her, do you mind getting the kids sorted for bed, and I want to boot out and get a campfire going, do a bit of a cook up and go out bush. And she very kindly agreed to that, which was very nice of you, Tiff, thank you. Anyway, I'm planning to cook something on the fire. It's going to take 2 hours to cook, which is why before I've set up the swag or done anything else, I need to get that fire going. I need to get some coals going and I've got to get some water heated up. So now that I've got that sorted, I'll be able to set up my swag and relax a little bit, have a beer and wind down, because I've just done 2 hours of driving and a solid sort of half hour, 45 minutes of picking through the bush trying to find a campsite, because I actually ended up quite lost. And this is not the campsite I had planned, but this one will do. I don't know what it looks like yet. I'll stick the drone up tomorrow morning. But it's got a fairly level area I can put the swag out, and it's got an established fire pit that I'll dump my fire into later. And I'll be able to curl up in my swag and actually watch that fire burn down tonight, which is exactly what I need. Anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I better set this swag up. It's not going to do itself. And then I'll tell you what we're doing for tea. This is pretty cool. I reckon you'll like this. So for dinner tonight, I'm doing Redneck Sous Vide. I'm not using a sous vide machine. I'm using the most basic sort of stuff you can use. Short of a temperature probe, that's probably the only specialized equipment you need to cook this. Otherwise, I'm using water from the dam. I'm heating it over the fire and I'm keeping it warm in an esky. I'm not even gonna vacuum seal my meat. I'm gonna use snap lock bags and I'll show you the technique to use them. This is really, really simple. Now, I am using an expensive meat thermometer. This is the Meter meat thermometer, but literally, I've done this at home before and it works perfectly with whatever cheap, crappy temperature probe you've got. All you need to do is make sure that your water is at 60 degrees and pretty stable there, and in some sort of insulated container, like a foam esky or one of these cheap Woolies eskies. That'll work fine. It needs to hold that 60 degrees for 2 hours, so that your meat will be 60 degrees the whole way through, which is medium rare. If you like your meat done differently, more well done or rare or whatever, you've got to adjust your temperatures. But 60 degrees seems to be perfect medium rare. So I have oiled and salted and peppered my 2 steaks. I've just got a couple of Scotch fillets here from Woolies. I didn't have time to go to Ryan's, my butcher. I would have got some thicker steaks if I could have. I still probably would have got Scotch fillet or maybe ribeye, but these will be fine. So they're oiled, they've got salt and pepper on them. A knob of butter would have been nice, but I didn't bring it. I'm going to bang them in a snap lock bag. I'm going to do 2 steaks because I'm going to have one tonight, and I'm going to sous vide one, and then I'm going to stick it in the fridge, and I'm going to see if I can have it the next day. I've got a bit of a plan for that. Anyway, so I'm putting it in that snap lock bag and I'm sealing it like 2/3 of the way, and I'm leaving a bit of a gap there. I'll show you why. We want to get all the air out of this. We're basically trying to mimic vacuum sealing this, but the dodgy way. Righto, I've checked that my temperature's stable at 60 degrees. I've got my steak in my snap lock bag here. I'm just going to submerge it right down to the lip of the snap lock bag to push all of the air out of the bag. And then I'm going to seal it. So it's watertight now, it's pretty much vacuum sealed, and when I drop it, it will sink to the bottom. There's no air in there. I'm going to keep that lid on for 2 hours. And in 2 hours time, in that 60 degree bath, that steak should be perfectly 60 degrees the entire way through. It's going to take 2 hours. Then I'm going to get a pan really hot, or you could just sear straight on top of a grill. And we're just going to put a bit of colour on it and it'll be ready to eat. It'll be perfectly cooked. It's going to be good. This is how good quality restaurants cook steak. Well, not in an esky with dam water, but with a sous vide technique. So I've done this at home a couple of times. I've done it at my folks' place in the southwest, and with this same esky, and it turns out perfect every single time. So it's pretty foolproof. The hardest part is waiting 2 hours. Unfortunately, because I took so long to get out here tonight, I haven't got that steak on till about 9 PM. So it's not going to be done till around 11ish, probably 11:30 by the time I sear it, which is getting pretty late for me. That's fine. I'll sit around the fire, have a few beers while I'm slowly waiting for that sous vide bath to cook that steak. But what I might do, I was going to film a bit of a cocktail for you tonight as well. Normally I do cocktails with boys trips, but I thought tonight I'd treat myself into a cocktail as well, especially because this last week we've had a friend of ours, Jason, from Espresso Tenango. Espresso Tenango is the coffee that we've been drinking for the last 4 or 5 years. He's also the brains behind our Rip and Drip coffee bags. So Jason, the owner of that company, came over this week and spent 3 or 4 days with us. His first real time visiting Perth, so we took him out on the boat and went out for meals and drank lots of coffee and all that kind of stuff. It was really good. But Jason brought a few things over for us to try, and one of them was his coffee liqueur, which he doesn't sell yet. He makes it for his friends and family, so obviously I've tucked into this one already. So coffee infused rum, and I thought that would make a really nice shooter. So I was thinking 2/3 of that. Something like that, and I was going to do 1/3 like a cream or a milk based booze. The bottle I went to didn't have Bailey, so I've got this Little Fat Lamb salted caramel, which smells a little funky. It's got a lot of salt in it. Is this going to work? Nah, it's sinking straight to the bottom. It's not going to look how I wanted. It'll taste good though. It looks terrible. Not sure about that. Anyway, you get the idea. It was supposed to be a coffee based, milky, salted caramel, almost like a dessert shooter. It tastes delicious. It just looked pretty average. Righto, that's been 2 hours now, and it should be ready. Oh, it's hot. This pan's smoking hot. It's got a little bit of oil in it. Oh, that is cooked beautifully. Oh. Please give this method a go. It is so easy to cook really, really good steak. It doesn't matter if you're camping or you're at home. I've replicated this at home with the same esky, but using the kettle to heat the water. You just need a cheap thermometer, and if you can get that esky to hold that 60 degrees perfectly, then you can get perfect steak every single time. Snap lock bag, it doesn't matter. You can use cheap cuts of steak. The fattier the steak, the better it is in my experience. But yeah, please give this a go. Really, really good. I've used dam water. I've heated the water on the fire. I've used a cheap esky, and I've got absolutely perfectly cooked steak. You'd eat this in a restaurant and you wouldn't turn your nose up at it. It is bang on. Anyway, I'm going to finish this, sit around the fire. Life's good. I'm going to curl up in the swag a little bit later on, Watch that fire burn down. Smelling that jarrah. It's the first fire of the season. It does not get any better. I'll show you this campsite in the morning. I am pretty keen to see what it looks like as well. Cheers, guys. So good. Thanks for watching, guys. Honestly, give that steak a go. It was really, really good. Anyway, I think there might be one interesting video coming up next week if I've scheduled it right. I've got to wait on Off-Road Living to make sure they're happy for me to post it, but it'll be a good one that's worth watching. So that should be coming up next week. So I'm being a bit cryptic on that. I can't give too much away because I was invited along with Off-Road Living to film something, but I don't want to release my video until they've released some stuff that they've got on it as well. So hopefully that's next week. And then after that, I am doing a trip series down south with Harry Fisher from Fire to Fork. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then I've pretty much got back-to-back trips, guys. After that, I'm punching up north with the boat. So you're going to see some content on the boat, some fishing, hopefully catch some decent sized fish on it. I reckon we will, because we're going to be using some local knowledge up north. And then Simpson Desert trip. So it's all happening and it's going to be good. And thanks for coming along with me. Cheers, guys. See you in the next one.
I know I'm lucky, man, but I don't feel lucky, man.